Films, the home of high-powered, high-voltage motion picture entertainment. With the screen's biggest spectacles, brightest stars, and boldest lineup of explosive entertainment. We're taking motion picture excitement over the edge and your box office over the top. We're Cannon Films, and we're dynamite.
Gene Davis was the brother of the late, great Brad Davis. He was very reclusive and kept to himself. He was really focused on trying to do a good job with a very difficult character, not only the psychological through line of someone who uses, as Charles says in the movie, his knife is his penis.
Well, if anybody does something like this, his knife has got to be his penis.
But who also disrobes and is completely stark naked through quite a portion of the film. Well, Gene Davis, the one thing I can say about him is that he was fearless. He was able to walk around on the set, be completely comfortable and naked in front of everyone in the middle of the street. I think cinematically they took some strategic license to try and cover Gene's equipment whenever possible. I don't recall any specific television coverage being done, but it was a unique experience.
As a resident, it is your right to know the names and likenesses of sex offenders living in your area. As a public service, we have created this videotape so that you and your friends and family can stay aware, stay safe, and maybe even have a little fun.
Fran, is it as good as they say?
If you don't like it, just ask for your money back.
Will we get our money back?
No way.
Wouldn't buy.
It's like my 5th time that I've seen this movie. I haven't even seen it.
You've never seen it. You're gonna die when you see Mama. He's so gorgeous.
I like Mommy. Oh no, where do you post it?
Nice.
Tina? Say hi to Warren and Stacy. Hi, Warren. How are you? Fine. Thank you, Tina. Hot buttered popcorn?
Would you mind sitting somewhere else?
It's so sad when they died then.
Oh God, come on.
No, he's so cute.
Don't even look at him.
No hard feelings, I hope.
Not a bad.
Come on, don't be like that. Let's start over. You don't like popcorn. How about a drink? And don't tell me you're not old enough.
We're old enough. We're just not that hard up for company.
Wait a minute. He's only trying to be friendly. So what'd you have in mind?
Forget it. I wouldn't want to come between you and your girlfriend. Good night, sweethearts.
I've just closed my eyes again, climbed aboard the Dreamweaver train, trying to take away my worries of today and leave tomorrow behind. Ooh, Dreamweaver, I believe you can get me through the night. Ooh, Dreamweaver, I believe we can reach the morning light.
edition of the Canon Films Countdown, as we go from naked space vampire to a naked serial killer in 10 to Midnight, starring Charles Bronson. It's interesting to note that of all the Death Wish Canon movies, this is the one most talked about frequently with Bronson fans. Nobody talks about Kinjete because it's too forbidden of a subject that most viewers want to forget how it was made. No, Mr. Bronson is not bringing the boom or bringing the heat in this one. He's just barely trying to stay above the legal limits of his jurisdiction to make use of his time when Mr. Boom is not invited to the party. The film is directed by J. Lee Thompson. He was not the only director of Kinjite, The Evil That Men Do, but was pretty much the click-click behind the boom of most every Canon-made Bronson movie of the 80s, excluding Death Wish 3. Nothing against J. Lee Thompson. He was the director behind the original psychological thriller classic Cape Fear, but that was in his heyday. The poor man was 73 in the twilight of his career and being force-fed this sleaze because, hey, we all have to eat, right? You know, with Canon films, each different Bronson film always seems to fit the same MO. It has great editing, great cinematography, but his 1980s work always comes off as sleazy. The main sleaze behind 10 to Midnight is screenwriter William Roberts. And as you're soon going to find out, he was not the right man to be heading up a Bronson movie, especially a horror-like one. Roberts was no stranger to Hollywood, for he was a longtime screenwriter whose 27 writing credits includes the 1959 film The Mating Game, starring Debbie Reynolds and Tony Randall. A year later, he would write The Magnificent Seven and introduced us to the wonderful world of the Brothers Grimm. His other writing accomplishments include The Devil's Brigade with William Holden and Cliff Robertson, as well as the 1971 film Red Sun, starring Charles Bronson. So it's not like it was a bad writing decision by Canon to bring in a writer who had some good sound experience writing in the dramatic Western and comedic drama. Problem was and is that William Roberts wrote this in the 1960s without Charles Bronson in mind, and was originally titled Bloody Sunday. It was one of those projects that Roberts originally sent to MGM with hopes it would pick up his script, but it never got made into production. When Canon etched out a picture deal with MGM, Canon now had access to MGM's private stock of scripts that were bought but never made into a movie. The problem Canon Films had in '82 was that they needed to make another Bronson picture, but didn't have a script attached to the picture. The only thing producer Pancho Koner had to pitch to the Canon president Menachem Golan was a simple premise of Bronson versus terrorists. Golan is pleased and offers Pancho money to upstart production. The only problem is Pancho doesn't have a script, so he just randomly grabs Bloody Sunday and repackages it as 10 to Midnight. However, the film is not advertised to the general viewing public with the title and the tagline of the movie stating Bronson versus the terrorists. It's just another Bronson cop vehicle. Yet, Canon releases a film about an LA cop on the hunt for a serial killer, and no one the wiser noticed. But if Bronson is not shooting someone, or someone is not getting royally fucked by Charles, then there is going to be a savage mob of theater patrons waiting at the movie theater to shove a refund up the box office manager's ass. The Canon Brain Trust could have had a quick fix with the premise of a title 10 to Midnight. To them, all they had to do was convince the public that the killer only kills from 10 to midnight. You know, kind of like in the same style of what would later on to go to be one of the highest spy thrillers on Fox with their hit series 24 with Kiefer Sutherland. Back then, Canon was like, nope, been there, suffered enough through that. The better question I am asking is, where was this guy between 10 to midnight? Was it being all naked and bloody on a set of stairs? Whacking off? Considering this is a working man whose late hours are limited and he's got to finish up early. He is an early to bed, early to rise kind of guy. The characterization of Warren Stacy and Detective Leo Kessler in 10 to Midnight were inspired by real life cases. The first was Richard Speck's murders of 8 student nurses. The second was when a Scotland Yard investor who got fired from his job by planting evidence to convict a Thames River killer. It turns out the killer committed 3 murders before being convicted. The third is Ted Bundy, whom oddly bears a striking resemblance to character Gene Davis, who also murdered young and beautiful women and drove a Volkswagen Beetle. Charles Bronson at this time is pushing 61, but it still looks older than Wilford Brimley. Then he goes under the knife, gets a little touch-up of plastic surgery to make himself look younger. Ah! He looks more like a chain-smoking alcoholic named Pruneface. I must admit this is the first asexual Bronson movie I've seen in a while because for the first time we're spared seeing a 60-year-old man fucking a young woman, which has become a Bronson standard in all his films. And maybe Death Wish 3. So thank you for briefly ending an enduring episode of groggy, bleary-eyed morning sex. So you can stop showing off pitching a tent because we know it's your walking stick. Then we open up to one of the oddest cold openings because nothing speaks toughness more than Charles Bronson channeling his inner Angela Lansbury typing.
Not today, Nestor.
And complaining about a cartoon hobo confessing to being Jack the Ripper.
You don't do that.
Yo, you onto something?
The captain issued a statement. Didn't you get it? You won't quote me. You won't mention my name on the TV.
It was at that moment I just jumped to confusion. True, being a secretary is easy. It's like riding a bike, except the bike is on fire. This scene is on fire. It's about to go up in smoke. What the hell? I thought this was a thriller.
I'm a mean, selfish son of a bitch. I know you want a story, but I want a killer, and what I want comes first.
After opening credits, we open to a college campus where a girl gets into a van. I'm like, oh no, nothing good ever happens in a van.
Hi.
If you see this vehicle driven in an unsafe manner, please don't notify the driver. It only increases his insurance. It looks like one of those vans at FanCon. Plus, it's one of those movies where they don't even hide the fact that you know who the killer is. No reveal, no mystery to be solved. Sorry folks, this is not the Zodiac Killer. It's Warren. He's ranked number 1, folks, in the serial killer industry by the owner of the company and his psycho-controlling mother. Somehow he sees his daydream through while working on the job as a typewriter repairman. I'm sure he will find someone who is just his type. Because even women dig a guy with a sense of humor, even if he uses puns. I'm guessing that the DeVry University degree worked out. Fuck it. 3 years now, that will be obsolete anyways, thanks to that fruit company. So, you might as well invest in more murder. Now he imagines himself more and more in these psychotic fits of rage to break through his social awkwardness. We can take the time where there is a girl at work Warren has his eyes on, unzips the back of her dress, and gets a cup of hot coffee thrown in his face. Well, better a latte than never. I guess you got mugged. Only this didn't happen recently. he's actually fantasizing in great detail about his past rejections. Our lowly Warren is what you would call by society standards as an incel. Incels are basically involuntary celibates who blame their virginity on those horrible, horrible women who don't grant them their God-given right to date and mate. It's then that these foolish few decide these women deserve to pay through violence. Rejection is not the problem. Warren is the problem. Come on, I'm a regular-looking dude, and I think he's not a bad-looking guy. If you were to put his selfies on Tinder, he would make the daily tasty top 20. Sure, he's not my type of flavor, but I'm sure he provides some sweet goodness to some lucky sweetheart. Yet, he's got some American Psycho thing going on, you know? It's not that he's a bad-looking guy. The guy is just a creep. The guy can't even walk to a movie premiere without ramming his crotch into a woman in some inappropriate manner, claiming it's not their fault they turned him on. Come on, dude. Calm it down. You got the right tools for the job to connect romantically with any available singles. It's just these goddamn MRA, so what the hell are you going to do? So he follows the women into the movie theater and creeps them out further by sitting right next to them.
Tina? Say hi to Warren Stacy. Hi, Warren. How are you? Fine, thank you, Tina.
Yeah, he just wants someone to look at him the way Ted Bundy looks at his lawyer when the prosecutor is talking about dead girls.
Hot buttered popcorn?
Would you mind sitting somewhere else?
He walks back to the ticket lady to find out the name of the woman who entered in before him, and she willingly gives him confidential information that her name is Tina.
Wouldn't by any chance know her name, would you?
Not by any chance, no. It's Tina. Why?
Yet ticket lady thought she wasn't failing HIPAA compliance because she didn't enter in any personal health information.
Nothing chance, nothing gained.
So Warren is trying to hit on Tina, but Tina has a friend who is way into Warren, but Warren is not having it. Yet I'm sure she finds him shady, useless as fuck, and a compulsive liar, but she still smiles and pretends you aren't the scum of the earth.
Popcorn?
Because as we learn throughout the movie, if a girl is interested in him, it just pisses him off more.
Now look what you've done. Shame on you. Don't go away mad.
How dare you like me? Do I actually require having a personality fit for this? Ooh, fuck me. Warren heads to the bathroom as he puts on rubber gloves and sneaks out a window. Well, Warren, I have to say this is not a bad idea for a serial killer. Now, if he puts this much energy into creating an airtight alibi, as he does towards being a better person, he'd be getting laid. Or instead of being a typewriter repairman, maybe become a politician. Wait, scratch that. Most politicians are serial killers who turn left at the last second. Warren can't bear it much longer and sits like an ass in his car. Now that's how you get your mind right. Now that you've moved to the nude zone, Warren, could you please at least send everyone a change of undress notice? He drove a long way from LA to Big Bear Country to murder someone. What time of day is it anyway? I mean, it was dusk when he left, and now it's like daytime in the afternoon, as if it was 2 p.m. Apparently, a girl and her boyfriend drove a long way to be one with nature. And just as they are into mid-stroke, out opens the door as another naked person is there. The boyfriend reacts as if he was saying, "Oh, threesome?" I imagine this fantasy slightly different. The girl escapes, runs out. I'm dying because this isn't a chase, it's more of a scene that is crawling in my skin. These wounds, they will not heal. Oh God, this murder has the camera work of an earnest movie. How is that one, Vern? So murders of the flesh in the flesh, is this for practical purposes or is this some kind of fetish or a mix of the two? Perverted, but he gets point on creativity as he makes his way back to the theater. Toilet disposes of the gloves, and yet no splat of blood on him. Returned back to the park, and apparently nobody found the bodies for an entire day except the news crews. The problem in films is that they can't tell fake news from the real news.
Who discovered the body?
Is there any suspects?
No comment at this time.
Yeah, there's got to be a better way. Not once have I ever turned on this channel and hear the nightly news talk about someone who just died on the scene or gave any stab wounds any single airtime, ever. Or told another cameraman to move because he was compromising with the crime scene. We turn to Wilfred Brimley on the scene as he's being asked questions by the press. But he'd rather tell them shit when he knows it.
Who they are, can you give us their names? No, we're going to withhold identification till the families have been notified.
Yeah, you get that KTLA camera out of my face.
Were they both naked? How were they killed? Look, anything I might say to you without further investigation would be purely speculation.
Bronson then arrives to investigate, who is accompanied by his partner Paul. The only dynamic we know is that Bronson is old and Paul is one of those young, dynamic, hip, and fresh young whippersnappers in his 30s who on the force hasn't yet experienced true crime.
It's not a very propitious way to meet, is it?
Might say that.
Bronson, plastic surgery, really? You look like the old guy who's too old to play the old guy in this film.
Might say that.
He makes everyone else around him feel younger. They all look like Bronson, as if he's an old wrinkly catcher's mitt being dusted off from the attic. Charlie looks on the ground and then picks up a chewed piece of gum and goes, "Ooh, look, a clue." His partner reacts, "Yes, a clue."
That's mine. The chewing gum, I dropped it there.
What will we do? We get Bronson a stick of gum, not a bale of hay. I'm sorry, we're just not quite stuck on this lead. I wonder if this movie inspired DNA to start being used in CSI investigations that began in 1984, a year before this film. I guess they wanted to get in on that bloodshed. Next scene at the coroner's office, we have someone telling Bronson about how the girl died, and Bronson is not interested.
Death was caused by the severing of the intestines and the major arteries, causing massive hemorrhaging.
This is all right, but can you tell us something that we can use?
It's as if the Grim Reaper asked Bronson if it was his time, and Bronson replied with, "No, I'm just chilling." Yet, Wilfred Brimley sighs and quietly asks if she was raped, as we were doing this cute walk around the scene where Bronson can't say rape himself. Yet, he's always got to have a chance to react.
There's no evidence of forcible entry.
I could have told you that, you know.
We all know from your movies, Bronson, that your sexual preference is often so. Don't take it to the next level.
On the basis of what?
Well, if anybody does something like this, his knife has got to be his penis.
And Bronson says penis for the first time, which is something I don't need. I just think he experienced a total eclipse of the penis. You're too cold, Bronson. So we go to the office. Warren's day job is a typewriter repairman getting paid off to appear in one of those boring early IBM commercials.
Computers? Who's got time to figure out how to use them?
We're IBM, and we've seen some very skeptical people become very enthusiastic. And that makes us proud, because we have more computers helping more small businesses than anybody. Personal computers. Small business is getting big on them.
Not only is he a klutz, but he's the worst type of worker. He's the type of guy that just doesn't walk away while you're talking to another coworker.
Yes, but sometimes she spends the night with a friend.
A friend? When she comes in, I want to see her. What is it, Warren?
This is Karen's typewriter.
Well, put it down.
Yeah, Warren, they can see you stalking them with an undercover profile.
Works fine now. Just needed some cleaning.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
If I need you, I'll call you.
Get the fucking hint. Nobody's interested in you.
I guess maybe she should change her sleeping habits, huh?
Do you mind your own damn business?
So Bronson and Paul are out joyriding, and boy, do they have their differences.
5 years as a patrol cop. All that time, I thought I'd learn to adjust to almost anything.
Well, you just don't let your feelings become involved. You're only there for the information.
Smoke?
Not anymore. If you were smart, you'd quit too.
I know, it's a filthy habit.
Sometimes you talk like you should have been a school teacher.
With Bronson driving around and giving Paul a lesson about what he knows about the city.
What do you know? I used to live in this neighborhood. That building over there was once a drugstore. You know, the owner was hooked on morphine.
Yeah, that is to stop moving to Los Angeles. It's full.
Finally said something I agree with.
He keeps on going about telling how Los Angeles used to be until you young'uns and your drugs. Then there was a rise in feed the epidemic. I would have been floored if Bronson would have approached this using Rodney Dangerfield-style jokes, but Bronson doesn't go for jokes, leaving his audience getting no respect. Bronson and Paul then make it to the dead girl's parents. He lectures Paul how it's important for the rookie not to get emotionally involved in the case. It's only to go, fuck, I know these people.
Oh, jeez.
What's the matter, you know?
God, yes. Their daughter and my daughter, they were friends.
Yeah, here I wouldn't want Bronson on my front porch under any circumstances. Even if he was from the Publishers Clearinghouse, holding balloons and a giant check, which would then be followed by lights out. Not only does Bronson break precedent to get emotionally involved, but Bronson's friend thought it was his big day to create a whole exposition backstory for his character.
Believe it, Leo.
That the producers and directors were not aware of until the day of. Look closely at Charlie. It's almost as if he is gesturing, doing a shoulder check to the director, responding like, "What the fuck, Jay? Is this an actor friend of yours?"
It's good to see you. Hey, Marge, come here, Margie. Oh, excuse my appearance. I work on the night shift.
You know this guy, and why is one of the extras talking to me? Paul's the extra whom felt, I'm going for it. I'm getting my SAG card. Fuck you. I'm doing it, you know. You gotta take these moments. I need the healthcare. Baby, I'm starving.
Look who's here.
Good Lord, look at you. You haven't changed a bit. How long has it been?
What is it, Leo? We talk inside. Come in.
Bronson then enters in the house, and then is seen later leaving the house, feeling he can't get emotionally involved in these cases anymore. Do as I say, not as I do, huh, Bronson?
Don't let your feelings become involved.
Rules for thee, but not for me, huh, tough guy?
Jesus, can't you drive any faster?
We go to Typewriter Girl. I'm just going to call her Helen Fodder because you're only going to meet her for 5 minutes until she eventually becomes food for fodder.
She dated a lot of fellas. Never a night somebody didn't call up.
What are the names of the guys she went to bed with?
I wish we didn't have to ask this, Karen, but we're looking for a motive.
And she is questioned by Charles and Paul because Helen knows the girl who died because it was her roommate.
Before Dale, there was Larry Williams, Lou Porter, George Latham, and there was this guy who she didn't go to bed with, but who called up all the time.
This is the moment where those guys in the audience, the die-hard Bronson fans, are like, don't fear the Reaper, because it looks like someone is about to meet Jesus.
He was Mexican or something. He, every once in a while, he'd say something in Spanish.
What's his name?
He'd never say his name. All he called up for was to, you know.
Helen mentioned that her roommate spoke to this guy, who spoke Mexican to her, as Bronson's eyes light up with glee. And if you zoomed in on your DVD back in the day, I'm sure you could see the bulge in his pants.
He talked dirty to both of you?
From him to the murder, death, kill, Bronson maniacs in the theater whose pupils all dilated at the same time as they're cheering with their sodas. Yet, she refuses to tell Bronson anymore about the make and description of the Mexican. Bronson assumes what he looks like. Well, Bronson, was he known as the Juan who got away? Yeah, Bronson knows. If you're a Mexican, if you have used your knife to sharpen your pencil. We then cut to a funeral in progress where Bronson and Paul, and this is where we meet Bronson's daughter, Lori. Lori and Paul hit it off from the start as Bronson walks off so those two can tap into their future love story.
Are you a cop?
Well, so they tell me.
You don't look like a cop.
Your father seems to be of the same opinion. Is that good or bad?
Actually, I didn't say if it was good or bad. I just said you don't look like a cop and you don't sound like a cop. I'm a student nurse.
She introduces herself to Paul as a student nurse. Really? You don't look like a nurse. What's a 1980s nurse supposed to look like? Because right now, you are not matching that time period of occupational apparel properly. You look more like the candy stripe girl, not someone who should be sticking a thermometer up someone's ass.
And what's a nurse supposed to look like?
You take after your father, don't you?
The only naughty nurses Paul knows from adult films, where their asses are sticking out. Yeah, your shirt is buttoned.
You think so?
Believe me, that's no nurse he'd watch. Remember, ladies, if you're socially insecure and asking guys out and bomb on your first attempts, you can always go with that safe line that they remind you of your dad.
I don't.
You're killing it more than Warren is killing the mood at the moment. Then Extra Lines guy gets a few more seconds of fame to upstate Chuck for old time's sake.
Betty always kept a diary, everything she ever did, everybody she ever went out with. Too many. Some of the worst.
Oh, this thing. I think I just bleached my eyes. Exactly, how does a creepy dad know all of this? Now I'm beginning to question who the real psychopath is. Or is she writing her own Red Shoe diaries? This is giving me too much of Bridget Jones' bad vibes. To all you females, just hope Charles Bronson never obtains a copy of all your saucy secrets, because he's going to end up holding his own Barnes & Noble open book read to the public.
Conceded that when he said that I want to go to bed with him, it was like he was doing me a favor.
You can personally order Charles Bronson exposing your most intimate moments on audio tape. Available on Amazon and Audible.
Always talking about his Corvette and cabin cruiser, but never once bothered to mention having a wife.
But Bronson is not in search of any more letters to Penthouse because he's still voting on Pedro.
You know him?
Bronson's daughter ends up talking to Warren. She swears she has seen him somewhere. Warren says no and takes off. When someone asks what fun plans Warren has in store for the weekend, he can only respond in smiles.
Do you?
Well, I'm Laurie Kessler. Haven't we met before?
Have we?
Maybe not.
His effort level for this run is somewhere between OMG and what the fuck.
I thought of something. It could be important. Betty always kept a diary. Everything she ever did. Everybody she ever went out with.
Warren breaks into the apartment to retrieve the dead girl's diary because he's been too spoiled with the authorities being clueless up until now. He can't let Bronson get his grubby old hands on this one when this guy's big on clues. The dead girl's roommate shows up. Turns out to be typewriter girl Helen Potter. She undresses in her room while Warren is looking from afar in the closet because she refused to sign the canon contract that contractually obligates all women to lay down some bare big ones on camera. Good for her. Good for you, girl. At least you're morally flexible. Wearing only surgical gloves, he's like, throw me an extra $20K and we're going to light the shit out of that room. It's pouring sweat, but there are no spotlights. Sweating like a hooker in church. Helen receives a call from a gentleman caller. She's already arrived home. Already this guy wants to fuck.
I can't sleep and I can't stop crying. I'm coming over to take you out. You're a darling. I just don't feel like going anywhere, though.
Now, shouldn't you be celebrating life? I know your roommate's dead, but you only have a few more days to yourself, so you can use that time to romp around the clock tonight.
I think I'll just get a bite to eat here and try to get some rest.
Come on, aren't you interested to fill a new void in your life?
You're an angel. Bye.
Helen would rather not go out, but have something to eat, so she ends up making eggs, but not before Warren kills her with his gloves on. Really just a kitchen murder? Here I thought Warren was ready to do some more off-the-wall Herschel Gordon Lewis horror shit. So if Bronson is comparing Warren's knife to his penis, wouldn't this make it his dick knife? No, it's more like the killer's play dildo. Look out tonight, ladies, for that crazy man coming at you with that big old dill. Next thing you know, you're bleeding all out and there's a dick in your mouth. I'm sure in the making of this film, Bronson was lobbying for the killer to have a dildo with a knife. Or he'll save it for his next film, Switchblade Strap-On. So who will Cannon get to play the voice of the dildo? Billy Barty? Warren then goes back to his house with groceries in hand. where he's met by Bronson and Paul for questioning.
Mr. Stacy, Lieutenant Kessler, Detective McCann, can we talk to you?
Come in, please.
They question Warren about the dead girl, and Warren replies that he has no relation to the dead girl.
Same as the other girls in the office.
You ever take her out?
Once.
Why only once?
She wasn't my type.
That's when Bronson puts on his reading glasses to recite Chapter 1 that was so uncomfortable, as if Charles Bronson was doing an audio version of 50 Shades of Grey.
So conceited that when he said that I want to go to bed with him, it was like he was doing me a favor.
Yeah, Warren, you're the creepiest creep who ever creeped up on a creep side. That's when Warren goes on his misogynist rant about her being a mean girl with no morals and just a plain bad person who deserved to die.
I know what you mean. Man can only take so much abuse before he strikes back.
It's not what I mean.
Meanwhile, Bronson is going to use his John to spice shit up. He's just going to bomb his bathroom and maybe he'll conjure up some plot directives.
Nah, that's not necessary.
Bronson's going to upper deck him while Warren opens the door on him as Bronson replies, "You weren't supposed to see this."
These are games we play with just about everybody.
So Bronson re-enters the room, looks around, and finds something out of the medicine cabinet. My God, this is insane.
Oh, Bob.
Apparently, it's some sort of like mechanism with an old-timey fleshlight. It looks like it comes out of a giant shaving can. It looks like a dustbuster model with a masturbatory sleeve on it. For a minute I thought, it looked like a power drill. Not exactly portable, you couldn't hide this. You literally have to push it in a shopping cart just to purchase it. Bronson has been notorious for grabbing a dildo and sodomizing a man in another movie, but I would never in my lifetime think I would see him pull up this giant power pussy. Look to Warren as if questioning him is this for pleasure or for your profession? He only looks at it for a couple of seconds, but feels more like 20 minutes. He's holding it up to your light, like if your grandpa found your hidden porn stash up to the light to really investigate. Yet after Bronson and Paul leave, we never see this again, so I'm not sure if it was supposed to be a giant sight gag or what. He'll make a great appearance on PBA's Antiques Roadshow. Antique Victorian dildo for sale. Comes in a nice rosewood case to completely show off the size of your muff and fits all aristocratic cunts. Wilford Brimley, Quaker Oats and Diabetes Spokesman of the Year, calls Bronson and Paul to still let everyone know he is still in the movie.
It's Detective McCann. He'll take you downtown and get your statement. Tim, we're gonna need it.
And thanks you for your support. Hey folks, he's only got 2 days worth of filming, goddammit. He's going to use every second of it.
I know you didn't do it, Tim.
All right, Tim, let's go.
Brimley lets them know that the typewriter girl is dead, so they go over to her apartment. Then we cut to Bronson just staring at the dead body with his hands on his hips. Yeah, you put the fun in funeral, Chuck.
Yeah.
They see the nightstand was broken into, diary's gone. Bronson knows that all clues point to Warren, so we cut back to the interrogation room.
After the funeral, you went from the cemetery to the market.
I did.
But you didn't get home until 3 hours after the funeral. Now, that's a hell of a long time to spend in the market.
We then cut to one of the greatest canon interrogation scenes ever. Bronson brings up questions as to what happened to the dead cat you threw at your neighbor's window.
Are you telling me or asking me? He's not asking questions, he's making charges.
You go after the funeral?
I went for a walk.
Oh, you went for a walk. Why?
I was upset. I felt bad.
A girl who was such a bad person, no morals, no manners, the window and throwing a dead animal inside. A cat.
I was 12 years old. Nothing to do, but I was angry. I'd been punished.
Oh, sure, for hurting the neighbor's daughter.
Warren brushes it off that he was only 12. Well, Warren, if you're willing to force a cute little kitten to a Vulcan death grip around the throat and throw it like a lawn dart, then you have no soul.
It was an accident.
They want kisses, not stitches, dumbass.
I won't answer that.
He tries to sass Bronson, saying, maybe you like when people get murdered. Well, of course, he does. Eviscerating souls is his favorite thing. Then he asks Warren, when is the last time you had sex, made it with a girl?
The girls you talked to in the movie theater, were they your type?
No.
When's the last time you made it with a girl, Warren?
That's none of your...
Last week, last month, last year?
I refuse to answer.
Since When did this go from interrogating to virgin shaming?
Never. You never made it with a girl because girls won't have anything to do with you, but you get back at them, don't you? Betty and Karen and God knows how many more.
I won't listen to your filth.
I'm guessing if you're a 40-year-old virgin like Warren who hasn't had sex, then clearly you are a murderer. He gets more questions with questions. Have you ever fucked a girl?
What's this, Warren? Warren, do you recognize this?
Have you ever felt your penis inside one? Bronson's getting very anally aggressive with him. Stop, please, Chuck. Before you asking the question, what that tongue do?
Leo, what's that, Warren? You ever see one of these before? What's it used for? What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? It's for jacking off.
Then Bronson pulls out on that's the pocket vagina, but it's hardly a pocket vagina at this point. Well, he's got to pull up the hand mixer because according to Black & Decker, he needs to wind it up. It's the sheer power behind his shouting, jacking off that is about as strong as anyone has ever shot. Then Bronson starts throwing pictures of dead girls on the table while shouting names as if he's rubbing the dog's face in it.
Recognize the girls on the pictures, Warren? Look at them. Look at them, Warren! Look at them, Warren!
Wilford Brimley comes in to break up the interrogation to warn Bronson that you can't do this to a witness. You can't put your hands on a witness, shove his face in photos, nor breed a man with a masturbatory sleeve.
Leo, you lost your mind?
You can forget about this.
And what, I gotta remind you about evidence obtained under duress?
I'm sure the car ride from the station Bronson declined to comment to Paul, as he will understand later, as he tries to sneak in some suction.
Right.
Bronson admits to his partner that police work is going to Vegas sometimes. You get a good case and sometimes you have to fold.
I mean, you're gonna fold. Well, I'm gonna stay.
This is not No Country for Old Men. Laurie shows up at the police station asking for Dad. Yet the policeman says Bronson never mentioned he had a daughter.
Say he's your father.
Yeah. He's my father, I'm his daughter.
Who would ever come to a police station asking to see Dad? Who would ever pretend to be a cop's daughter? What movie cop is going to show you pictures of his family? Are you getting shot that day or what?
I've got something for him.
Well, how come I've never heard him mention a daughter?
Well, that's because, it seldom crosses his mind that he has one.
Do you have a death wish? So Paul comes to see his daughter, and she mentioned that she knows that creepy guy at the funeral who goes by the name of Warren.
What about him?
Well, Betty, we're scared of him. Do you know who he is?
Is this the only time you ever saw him?
Yes, now will you quit trying to act like a cop?
She says that gal who recently died was my best friend. Warren used to follow her around and giving his usual dirty Sanchez phone calls. Well, technically, it's not exactly called stalking. I'd call it closely watching over someone without their consent.
He was always talking about people who put him down and how he was going to get even with them.
Later that night at the nursing school, Warren waits for Laurie in his car. He then follows her back to her dorm where Warren talks very New Year's Evil-like, but it's also reminiscent of Black Christmas.
How's it going? How are you?
Well, I'm fine. Who's this?
You don't know me. But I know you. You're beautiful.
So I'm guessing we could call this Negro Navidad?
Quiero mamarte la panocha.
What does that mean?
Means I want to eat your pussy.
He goes into this bizarro quasi voice. For a devoted stalker and certified psychopath, he hasn't heard too many accents in his time.
Blowjob? I give it to you in the ass. How about it, baby?
You have reached a disconnected number.
His experience in hearing a Mexican accent comes off as sounding like Speedy Gonzalez or Matt Damon in The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Who was that? Just some creep.
He must get good tips at parties pulling out the voice while coming up behind people. Later we cut to the college cafeteria, where Bronson is there ordering food, and for some reason Bronson decides to do a comedic stand-up asking random questions. What's the deal with cafeteria food?
It's some lunch, Dad. Coleslaw and quiche.
I hate quiche.
Why did you take it?
I thought it was pie. Coleslaw makes me sick.
Laurie is not hungry. Bronson is still going to order probably some Flintstones meat at this point, a Brontosaurus burger maybe, because he refuses to be a cook. Where's the quiche? Because he's got to go be a real man.
Beg your pardon?
Well, we're having a party. Do you want to come?
And you're inviting me?
Dad, is he always this slow? Yes or no? I'm late.
Well, thank you very much, but, well, I'm busy.
So, while Bronson is getting his real American fix on, Paul and Laurie are sitting at a table having some friendship fries as they're really hitting it off.
This is Detective McCann.
Hi.
How do you do?
You don't look like a detective.
Well, so I've been told.
Excuse me.
There's a man who's been out there on the firing line for over 20 years.
God.
Do you have any idea how many commendations he's received?
He's an outstanding public servant. Nobody says he isn't. But when my mom needed him or I wanted him, where was he? Out on the firing line earning commendations.
Then, she hits Paul with an invitation to go to a college party with her. I'm guessing she wants to have sex with him.
I want to go to a party tonight.
I beg your pardon?
Well, we're having a party. Do you want to come?
And you're inviting me?
It's like she's been feeling his lack of gape is starting to work on her. She wants to upset her dad by getting back at him in a weird, cuckold kind of way.
Dad, is he always this slow? Yes or no? I'm late.
Well, thank you very much, but, well,
I don't know what the fuck is going on, but clearly Bronson's getting too close to his daughter, and she wants to have sex with his partner.
I'm busy.
Okay, bye.
Busy doing what?
Well, quite frankly, I don't think we get along.
Laurie mentions to them that she did get a call from that Mexican. Paul then accepts Laurie's invitation because it'll be a great idea to see if he calls again.
Well, I changed my mind. What time shall I pick you up?
That's one way to ask politely for anal sex.
I'll attach the microphone to the receiver, and to record, press these two buttons simultaneously. Now, I want you to keep him talking. Just get him to say as much as possible.
Hella classy there, Paul. Night at the party. Paul sets up a tracer on the phone line, but there the two dance the night away. He then complains to her about experiencing symptoms of dizziness and shortness of breath.
I said it's hot.
Take your jacket off! What? Take your jacket off!
I can't! I have a gun!
But that's just an excuse for her to check his prostate.
Why do you have a gun?
He's an officer of the peace. If you disturb the peace, he'll fire a warning shot and then he'll kill you.
That's quite a big jump there, partner, going straight to pegging. Paul is going to go on the record right now and saying,
I really used to love this sort of thing.
Screaming is heard, Paul's basic instincts kick in. That's when we see a man's asshole as he smashes that like button.
Wait, don't shoot!
Honestly, Cannon, if you're setting up a scene, why would this be your way of blocking it? It's just so uncomfortably awkward.
We weren't doing anything. It's all right. Don't be alarmed. Just, carry on.
But Laurie wants to know, where the hell are we going? He's like, out of here. Oh, you're so cute when you do that, Paul. If there was a real intruder, they would all be dead. They leave the party, and Paul decides to walk Laurie home.
All right, I thought you were fairly obnoxious yourself.
Yeah, have you changed your mind?
I'm thinking about it.
That's when he went for a handshake like a freaking goober to kissing, and she throws herself at him.
Good night, Miss Kessler.
Now, I'm beginning to wonder just how many of his father's partners she has fucked over the years. This must be her MO. It looks like those two are officially in a relationship, and I'm quite sure Bronson has got all the tabs on this one. We'll be checking up reading on that diary shortly. When the phone rings, whom to their surprise, it's Pedro.
Hi, baby. What's doing? How you been?
He says that short for Peters, and I've got the biggest one you've ever seen.
Well, that's nice to know.
Yet she keeps leading him on. Whoa, wait. You want to see it?
What'd you have in mind, Pedro?
I take you to a motel. We do it every way there is. How you like it? Up, down, front, back?
Whatever suits you, amigo. Where should I meet you?
One replies with simple, fuck you, and I don't want it.
You say?
Well, tell me what hotel and I'll meet you there.
Like hell you will. Don't fool with me, bitch.
Well, I thought you loved me.
Yet, at Bronson's home, they play the tape of the phone conversation, And Bronson is kind of enjoying it until Warren calls Bronson out as a pig.
Your father's a pig, your mother's a whore.
He turns it off. My question is, shouldn't the dad be looking the other way here? Yet he has got to bring that shit into the car. Not sure if Bronson's going to go through with putting out an APB out on Warren, or if Bronson would rather just sit in the corner and watch.
I know.
Bronson goes back to the police station to the evidence locker. Apparently, there's a lab tech who is smoking weed.
Smells like pretty good stuff.
Smoking and rolling doobies in the police station, huh? Wow, that's quite a stretch. Sorry, Cannon, not buying someone about to get 10 to life on account of breaking a code of workplace ethics.
Confiscated material? You testing to make sure it's the real thing?
I didn't expect anybody this late.
Surely you must be high. So he asked the lab to make a comparison with Warren's telephone conversation with Lori and the tape of Warren's interrogation.
Make a voice print and then compare it with the one we have on Warren Stacy. Where do you keep that tape?
In the file?
Well, maybe you better check, make sure it's still there.
Then this movie turns on a dime on account of upholding ethics, as Bronson goes into the evidence room with the blood samples. Takes a sample of the dead girl's blood. Now he's the antagonist?
Is there anything else?
No, just see that Milliken gets right on it, okay?
Yes, sir.
What did you just do, Ken? And now, who can we really get behind at this point?
I hope you don't feel you have to say anything about,
Illegal possession of marijuana. Yes. I don't see any evidence. I can't bring any charges against you.
Much obliged, sir.
Yeah, me too.
Well, if you want justice, Bronson's hourly rates are $200 an hour. For obstruction of justice, well, that runs a bit more. We go to the Warrens' home as Bronson becomes an even more corrupt cop because he breaks into Warren's house and plants the evidence all over his house. Now, that's why showing leadership by example is the most contagious style of leadership. That's why police corruption is so. Apparently, they can only get him on a misdemeanor charge. The most they can hold him in jail for is 30 days. Nice to know those cops walk that fine line between misdemeanor and felony.
You're gonna get 30 days at most. Now, what's that gonna accomplish?
Gives us 30 days to find something to hold him permanently.
The cops return back to Warren's house to apprehend him and take some clothes as evidence.
Oh, what's all that?
You told me to take his clothes to the lab.
Just the clothes he was wearing on the night of the 7th. Red jacket, striped shirt, blue jeans.
What about the suit?
They return back to the police lab where they said it's a perfect match to the DNA of the blood to the blood found on Warren's clothes. Do you even know how to craft a perfect murderer, Cannon? Here we have Warren, who at this point has constructed perfect airtight alibi. It doesn't make sense that he would be so careless at this point.
Why didn't he have them cleaned or burned them?
Well, I think that might look fairly suspicious, don't you?
Well, suspicion leaves a reasonable doubt. This leaves no doubt at all, which makes him look awfully dumb.
We got a Dexter here, folks. Right now, Warren is schooling the cops on Murder 101. Then the lab tech spills the beans to Paul that Bronson was here exactly 2 a.m., checking out not only Warren's interrogation recording, but the victim's blood samples out of the lab room.
No, I was with Kessler last night till almost 1 in the morning at his house.
Well, it was about 2. Anyway, have him come in and sign.
Now, Warren's lawyers are ready to put that LA justice system high on blast.
That's what we're here for. They put you in, I get you out, Mr. Daddy keeps you out.
They're telling Warren, don't even worry, just wait this shit out. They got too many cases to worry about. They're just going to let it go. You pulled nothing but a harmless prank call. You're fine. The only way they will care is if you kill off another sorority.
I'm talking to my client. Do you mind?
Bronson then barges in between Warren and his lawyer.
We found some blood on your client's clothing. We're gonna rebook him, Murder 1.
What?
Hey, this just in, Bronson. You fucked up.
Dirty shit! He's lying. There was no blood on my clothes, and he knows it. Dirty shit! He's lying! He's lying! He's lying!
Are Are you disturbing anything other than your dirty cop privilege?
Prove that all the evidence against my client is not only flimsy, it's fabricated.
We then go to the courthouse for the trial that turns out to be a real media circus, with Warren giving Bronson nothing but the death stare.
How well do you know her, Warren? Did you love her, Warren? Did you do it? How well did you know?
At this point, I don't know how the audience can comprehend how to feel at this point, because everybody's shitty.
Evidence against his client is fabricated. Care to comment?
No.
What evidence?
Ask him.
He wouldn't say.
Makes it unanimous.
At the end of the trial, Warren's lawyers are confident was framed and the evidence is 100% fabricated. He then backs Bronson's partner Paul to the corner, telling him to take the witness stand and tell the truth. Because if you don't tell the truth, you're going to perjure yourself. Really? They don't prosecute police in movies? Come on, Your Honor.
You know as well as I do that there were no blood stains till someone planted them.
Well, who says that? Warren Stacy?
Those are pretty serious offense.
Well, threatening a witness is fairly serious too, Mr. Dante.
Why don't we just take a 5-minute recess so we can laugh at this idiot?
Who's threatening? All I'm asking for is the truth. You will know the truth, and the truth will make you free.
During the break, Paul has a phone conversation with Lori, and I'm not sure if days have passed because she claims she has not seen him forever.
Thought maybe you might have died of old age.
I've been meaning to call you, Lori.
I'm sure you just saw him this afternoon. Did you forget the timeline at the courthouse? Someone's needy.
I know it sounds like a lame excuse, but I've been very busy. Got a new partner, a new assignment.
Well, I've got your radio here. And I was kind of expecting you to come by and pick it up.
I'm sure he has got him on her swingers calendar.
Maybe say hello if you felt like it.
Sure, I'll do that.
After the break, Paul is sweating bullets because he is practically the only good, morally sound person in this movie.
I feel like I'm talking to a stranger.
I'm sorry, I just had a lot on my mind lately.
He knows he has to turn in his partner for the fabricated evidence he turned in. This is a tough turning point for Paul because he knows he has to betray his partner. Remember, Paul, Bronson is one to remember and recover, not forgive and forget.
To remind you, in case you forgot, when you testify at the preliminary hearing tomorrow, remember, you're sworn to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. See you in court, McCann.
No, he was in there.
What's kept in that refrigerator?
Blood samples.
What's kept in that refrigerator?
Blood samples.
The lawyers suggest to Warren to plead insanity, and Warren claims he is not insane. He cuts to the chase, telling Warren that, let's face it, nobody likes you. Your mom hates you, and your pet dog can't stand the sight or stench of you. However, if you tell the judge you hear voices that tell you to do things, you don't have control over your body, instead of jail, you'll be set up nicely in the crazy. But if you say you murdered people, you get the chair. Have you ever seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, kid? Yeah, you'll walk into a crazy house alive. You'll walk out of a gas chamber as a corpse. You might get lobotomized, but it's a no-brainer. The trial resumes. They're about to rule in favor of insanity until Bronson walks into the room.
And then we will call witnesses to testify that the defendant harbored malice towards the victim.
All he does is calmly stand up motions like the Rock to bring it.
Testimony confirmed by the victim's own diary. And then we will produce evidence that there were bloodstains on the defendant's clothing.
He's like, if you don't notice me, that's on you, because I control the room when I walk in.
Clothing that he acknowledges wearing on the night of the murder. Expert witnesses from the police forensic laboratory testifying that the blood type.
Regardless of what Bronson had done, the judge rules to throw the case out due to tampered evidence.
Excuse me, Your Honor. Your Honor, may we please approach the bench?
You may.
Your Honor. I must ask for dismissal of charges against the defendant based on...
Is that true, Lieutenant? You planted the evidence?
Yes.
I'm surprised Bronson hasn't been a guest on the Chris Farley show, because you remember that clip, folks, where Chris goes, "Remember that time you said you were trying to root out a murderer at 10 to midnight, and the judge pardoned someone for, you guessed it, corruption? That was awesome." There's literally 20 minutes left in this movie. I'm still doing mental gymnastics, trying to wire this whole scenario out. Bronson returns home after dropping off Lori and receives a phone call from Warren to rub it in.
How you doing, Mr. Kessler?
Enjoying yourself? I am. I told you what a dirty shit you are.
Now the whole world knows, but I don't aspire to being an angel. Know what I mean?
You tried to kill me, I owe you for that. And I always try and pay what I owe.
Be seeing you, Mr. Kessler.
And we catch Warren driving. As he pulls up to a spotlight, a car pulls up next to him. It's just Smiley Bronson out of a Grey Poupon commercial.
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon?
But of course.
Ah, thank you. Are you putting Grey Poupon on a wiener?
No, it's not a wiener. It's a frankfurter.
Oh.
Why?
Baloney.
Grey Poupon, also in a squeeze bottle.
Warren returns to work, and all the girls are still creeped out, by him, of course, because he's posting pictures of dead girls in the break room.
What are these doing here? Answer me.
I didn't put him there.
No? Well, who did?
Not me. Why would I?
Take them down. Get rid of them this minute.
Will you listen to me? I'm telling you.
I'm going straight to personnel. I don't want you in this office.
Yeah, necrophilia. Sit back and crack open a cold one. Bronson somehow found the break room to Warren's work, and he's just standing out there hours on end just waiting. The only thing Charles Bronson is committed to is his commitment issues. Now brandishing a gun, this is what happens when Bronson plays a dirty cop, because the more you mess with him, the more he operates beyond the law. At this point, he's going to make Warren eat a watch. Then his partner Paul shows up out of nowhere, and Bronson is almost ready to shoot him in the head.
Jeez.
That's the Charlie Bronson way of showing commitment when you're beyond screwed, but way too stubborn to care.
You trying to commit suicide?
It's funny, I was going to ask you the same thing.
Now Bronson has gone from breaking the law to breaking and entering by breaking into Warren's apartment. Warren enters the apartment, and suddenly a record starts playing. How exactly do you rig a record player to your front door? Now I want to see Bronson doing this. This was Home Alone, where the rest of the movie is just walking through a booby-trapped apartment, with Bronson wearing a red sweater, khakis, and thirsting for more.
Are you enjoying yourself, Mr. Stacy?
Warren then swiftly and smartly hides his butterfly knife at the bottom of a sink pipe in a plastic bag. Smart killer conveniently putting his weapons of mass carnage right where he can find it. Then he grabs his dick knife and heads out to Hollywood Boulevard to pick up Angel.
Come on, get in.
First things first, hon. 51 way, round the world, 75.
Okay, come on.
But Angel's not on shift tonight. He then resorts to one of the dead meat leftover girls instead. I like the stereotypical cheetah and leopard print dress on her. It's like straight out of the HBO documentary American Pimp. Or was it American Hustle? Bronson then pulls up and holds up a hooker for $20 for information.
What can I do for you?
The girl that was standing with you here a while ago. Where does she usually take her tricks?
Who wants to know? Usually the Regis, sometimes the Drexler Golden State.
Thanks.
They were cheaper back in the day, you know. Warren and the prostitute check into the City Hotel for $15 an hour because he knows he's going to be there all night.
Give me a wake-up call in 3 hours.
Wow, wait.
Ooh, That kid has got stamina.
Looks like you got your work cut out for you.
While they're in the room as Warren's pouring the drinks, the hooker complains because it goes against union rules.
It'll loosen you up.
I'm already a loose woman.
I thought prostitution was similar to marriage, where you pay someone else to do your wife's job. You're literally TJ Hooker, who'll do anything for money.
Bottoms up.
Whether it's your John pouring drinks or you going bottoms up, it's a streetwalker's story of their lives.
That's the story of my life.
Warren excuses himself, take a shower so he can pour down the alcohol down the toilet, which we basically know he drugged her. The power of roofies. Because making women make better decisions when they don't make them at all. Warren sneaks out the window and is gone as Bronson's at the front desk. Bronson's once again hot on Warren's trails because apparently anyone in Los Angeles will tell you literally anything about anyone for an easy one.
The guy about this tall young came in with a hooker. Which room?
Oh, brother, it ain't our policy to go.
Come on, which room? Here.
224.
Bronson breaks into the room and finds the hooker asleep on the bed. Then he puts his arms on his waist, thinking, I'll be damned, she's ready. As I say in the Degenerates playbook, when in Rome, he's thinking, somebody's got to do it. She's been paid already. Warren makes his way back to Laurie's dorm, walking up with a set of flowers naked. That's some naughty candygram from the Cock and Balls Company.
Laurie, somebody bought you some flowers.
Who are they from?
Who else could they be? From your good-looking cop?
Don't open that door!
They say male strippers won't tell you their real name to protect their privacy, but they sure will show you their butthole for $1.
Where is she?
Where is she?
Laurie,
Tell me where she is.
Oh boy, the Occupy Pussy movement is at it again.
No, really, she's at the hospital. That's where she is.
I won't hurt you. I won't hurt you.
She's at the hospital. She's on duty.
Laurie's standing in another room just watching this go down with the doorway halfway exposed. Really? Her friend's covering for her. Laurie won't intervene, and she's giving Laurie enough time to fight or flight. Nice to know you have friends in low places who will sell you out in 3 seconds.
Why didn't you tell me?
Hey Laurie, selling out is the new keeping it real. Yet Warren is doing the whole psycho thing, and even though Hitchcock would have appreciated the homage and general attitude toward women, yet he gets sloppy. You wait to slip up now? Oh, Cannon, I would like to question you about the characterization of our villain here. He's incomprehensible. It's as if you walked across the keyboard, laid down, and rolled over it 100 times, and then took a nap on his perfect alibi. He tries to dick stab her, but she runs into the bathroom. He tries to pull a Shining, but he doesn't know Jack.
That's him! He's here!
You can count on this. I'll be back.
That's when Bronson finally comes, because after a lot of women are killed, he suddenly manifested himself outside. Hey, it's his spirit guide's way of telling him it's time to work on a deep emotional wound he's been suppressing the whole movie. This sets up our nude, hardcore finale. Warren goes running out the window for a minute. Laurie crawls out. Warren reappears and burns him with a curling iron. Now he's deformed and real pissed. I don't think that's what he had in mind when he wanted to be Iron Man, but at least he can pass for Scarface for earning his beauty score by attempting to eat pussy. Bronson goes upstairs, takes a look at more dead girls, but doesn't have time to take this all in because Ray Stevens' The Streak, the fastest thing on 2 feet, as proud as he can be of his anatomy because there's an audience or a woman to be found, he'll be streaking around. Warren is streaking across rooftops, going down the fire scales, bouncing away, slapping us with the thigh because he likes to turn the other cheek. He's always making the news, wearing just his tennis shoes. Guess you can call him unique. This chase scene pursues onto an LA street with Laurie booking it and Warren looking like he's on a fucking track team. He's going T-1000 style with the arm movement. Man, James Cameron, you're fucking back at it again, huh? Only Bronson does a slight trot. They briefly cut to Bronson running. His knees are so shot at this time and age, so we're just going to do this Jason Voorhees style. Bronson's basically Michael Myers at this point. He's the shape. For someone who's out of shape, Bronson's somehow in front of them. That's when you find out Bronson is spiritual, has an extensive esoteric book collection, raises the collective consciousness, and can seriously mindfuck you until your pineal gland is turned to mush.
Don't shoot! Get back! Get away!
I tried to keep you from running loose. Now there are 3 more dead girls.
I am sick. I didn't know what I was doing. And I couldn't control myself. Why else would I kill girls I don't even know? It's like I'm 2 different people. Go ahead. Arrest me. You can't punish me. I'm sick. You can't punish me for being sick. That's the law. That's the law. I'll be back.
No, we won't.
After spending the whole movie on foreplay, Bronson has shot no one until now. The disgraced cop has just murdered a guy he tried to frame, which will surely get Bronson sentenced to Warrior Island, where he'll be injected with the LD-50. The movie 10 to Midnight was actually inspired from the real-life mass murderer Richard Speck, who killed 8 student nurses in a dormitory. Speck's crime was something compared to a slasher horror movie as he killed all 7 nurses except one, who survived the night of horror by hiding the whole night under a bed. Bronson does well and carries his usual stoic and stern iconic on-screen presence, but the movie actually benefits from its co-star Andrew Stevens, an actor who should have gone to be a bigger star, but works off well as Bronson's partner. Another on-screen chemistry that flows well, we have his Saudi actress Lisa Eilbacher, excellent as Bronson's daughter. Their chemistry is so important to the story, and these two come across authentically as father and daughter. But the movie really shines by its villain Warren, played by Gene Davis, and his portrayal as a handsome psychopath, which is actually the precursor to Patrick Bateman's character in American Psycho, played by Christian Bale. 10 to Midnight is the second on-screen collaboration between Bronson and Golan and Globus that would upstart the Bronson mania stream of films that would dominate the 1980s. This is by far one of the best of Cannon's and Bronson's collaboration that somehow rejuvenated Bronson's career. When you can successfully bring together a large number of 80s suspense and horror elements, 10 to Midnight draws from being more than just a simple cop murder mystery. Be sure to join us next time as we transition from cop heroes to war heroes, as we introduce Cannon's answer to the next show, Kuzuji in American Ninja. This is Carlo Fioretta, reminding you all to stay healthy, my friends.
Cannon Films presents an outstanding lineup of films for major filmmakers, major stars, major motion pictures.